Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning into AMTV Alternative Media Television. Before we get started, please click the link below to support our sponsor, 9Life Solutions. That's 9Life Solutions. You can find them on their website, nlstraining.com. Again, that's nlstraining.com. Subscribe with your email address and get a free report on how to defend yourself with live hand-to-hand combat training and counter-assault tactics and strategies that you can use if, God forbid, you're ever put in that real-life situation. Click the link below right now. So I was watching the Q&A session with Mr. Janet Yellen, who kind of looks like a gargoyle combination of Alan Greenspan and Ben Bernanke if they got together and had a child. And she was, answering questions from other elitists that are selected to be in the room with her because, God forbid, they allow someone like me from the alternative media in that same room asking some of these difficult questions. In fact, all of these are just pre-screened, and it's just, total BS propaganda. And denying things like there's a financial bubble and saying that she doesn't really look at equity prices and, compared to historical norms, even though we're hitting all-time highs and we've had 0% interest rates for going on 5+ years now post the apocalyptic 2008 financial crash, all is still normal. Now, of course, we know all that's BS, and we know what's coming. We know it's going to equal financial Armageddon if we're not already there here in the States. Hyperinflationary scenario, which later results in a greater depression than what we experienced in the 1930s with rapid deflation after that initial excitement in asset prices, which is basically what we have now today, with the bubbles getting even bigger in housing, real estate, stocks, bonds, etc. It's going to go much, much higher, and then it's going to bust. And it's going to be catastrophic for the average Joe, John, Jane on the street. But outside of all of that, what we already know is going to happen. It's one of the reasons you should be buying things like gold and silver. And, even real estate's a better investment than just holding cash, because obviously that's being lit on fire right now by the Federal Reserve. Anything really you can get your hands on, tangible, even food, things that you can eat, that's worth more. To trade your dollars into something that actually is meaningful to you and your family. But outside of all that, and the big picture of this path of self-destruction that we've been on over the past 5 years, that really I've harped about since starting this YouTube channel, literally out of my basement, and growing it to 27 million plus views and hundreds of thousands of subscribers. To get just a testament to show you what you can do and what a single voice can do, along with your help, of course, if you refuse to give up and you just basically beat to your own drum and you have the passion to do something. But outside of all that, well, what I think is really going to happen with this scenario is that post the collapse, which again was the engineered game plan from day one, that's why they transferred the $1 trillion of wealth plus dollars of wealth in 2008, is I think after all it's said and done and people lose everything, and again it's a catastrophic apocalypse really in a sense, financially speaking at least, and everybody's put out onto the streets like what we saw during the 1930s, I think what they're going to do is just dump the whole Federal Reserve System altogether. They're going to, of course, and they already have this prepared, it's ready. They've got the digital currencies ready to go right now. It's going to be a new type of Federal Reserve System, but they're going to ditch it. Just like how we've gone on and off the gold standard, and they established the Federal Reserve, a private illegal entity that's totally anti-constitutional. We're basically just sold our country out when it was formed, but now is allowed to exist. They're just going to dump it and create something else. They're going to turn it into a cashless society, which a lot of you realize has biblical implications, and people have been talking about this maybe for thousands of years, if not longer. But even outside of that, I see it from a purely economic and financial perspective. Myself having a financial background, actually having worked for one of the major Wall Street firms during the heart of the 2008 financial crash, actually living it, being there, seeing what actually happened from the inside and how it affected America and people that I actually knew. I see all of this really transforming, this fundamental shift in the way that we trade goods and services is all going digital. And largely we're already there, whether or not you're using PayPal or it's the new recent excitement of Bitcoin or the future release of a Google-backed Google coin or an Apple coin or an Amazon coin or anything like that. It's all moving that direction. And of course the government has this all in place. That's why they've been heavily invested in currencies, digital currencies like Bitcoin from the beginning, with the CIA hedge fund as a principal investor, InQtel, QTEL, go look it up. They're constantly got their hands in the cookie jar because it's what the government does. Again, this is part of the plan. This is a part of the engineered scenario that they created from the very beginning. So once they've extorted all the wealth, once all that goes bye-bye, which we know is the direction it's headed, they're just going to change the game entirely. They're going to dump the old Federal Reserve. They're going to dump the currency. They're going to dump the dollar. And all of a sudden, they're just going to give you on a silver platter digital Bitcoins or digital Google coins or Fed coins or whatever it is. And we are integrated rapidly, maybe even abruptly in a sense, into the digital world, which makes up the cashless society today. You know, it's funny because we're already really there. I mean, all the figureheads, all the billionaires, they know it. Whether or not it's Bill Gross, the leading bond fund manager out of Newport Beach, California, or anybody else, they all know it. But they're just so consumed with their own pursuit of wealth, their own egos, and really fulfilling their own prophecies that they're really not willing to raise their voice. They're not really willing to say anything because they have too much at stake. But it's all moving that direction, to a cashless society, to digital currency. And again, the government already has this prepared. This is why they've engineered the wealth transfer in the first place. And then they're going to deliver it to you on a silver platter. And just like the Federal Reserve was constructed anti-constitutionally, illegally, they'll be behind whatever new option they give you, and the cycle repeats. Again, it's just a vicious circular cycle of self-destruction and slavery. Again, the illusion of freedom, thinking that you actually have a choice when you actually don't. You see, until the people actually take control of their own finances, their own destiny, their own future, and critically think about how all of these instruments work in our financial markets and with these institutions and with these bond funds and Wall Street and what people hold up on a pedestal and admire, figureheads, really PR bailout king stuntmen like Warren Buffett, we really don't have any hope. What we need to understand fundamentally is not only is the political game rigged, the system, right, left, paradigm, Republican, Democrat, but it's just as much rigged at the very source of it all, which all has to do with money. It all has to do with currency. It currently all has to do with the Federal Reserve, and soon it'll be digital. It'll be the cashless society that's been prophesied about for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Whether or not this is biblical perspective or it's purely economic and a realist perspective of what's literally transpiring and happening right now, hard-hitting and in your face. I'm Christopher Green. Get this out everywhere, make it viral, and click the link below to support our sponsor.